Just wait. This is my first time going live, so I'm just gonna, oh my gosh, so bright, so bright, so bright. Terrible lighting. You definitely should look at the lighting before you go live. That's for sure. Why is it? I don't like the background get faded. Why does it do that? This is me at 51 learning how to do technology. I think it's very important to connect with people. And I keep saying that people should look up, but I also am a fan of technology. So trying to combine both worlds here, which is challenging because I need to learn. So that's what I'm doing. So I want to talk like about taxes or something, but I need someone to talk to. I guess I have to wait till someone talks. Anybody want to learn about tax strategy? Anybody want to care about what can we talk about? How do I make that background thing go away? I don't like that. It's like it makes my head look all weird. Oh, screw it. I'll take my glasses off too. I look tired. I guess I should leave my glasses on. I kind of look tired. Okay, so I want to talk to somebody about tax strategy or notary or insurance or technology, but I hate this background thing. It's driving me crazy. Someone needs to teach me how to fix this stuff. What do we do in a moment like this? So I want to know how you get subscribers because I want to build my network. And I think the way you build a network is you make yourself available to people and humanized, right? We're real human. You don't know if you're talking to a human anymore or you're talking to AI. So that's important to me. And I don't know why this camera's like all crooked. It's making me look like I've had a stroke or something. I don't know why it's doing that. That's weird. But anyway, I will just wait. It's kind of cool though. I don't like the color in the background. There should be a way to fix it. Haha. So I think what's important is people to realize about the new big beautiful bill that Trump has passed. That it's important to realize how that impacts you. A lot of people don't realize how it does impact them. If you are a business owner, it definitely does impact you huge. There was a lot of benefits. 65 years and older, you're getting a nice $6,000 benefit this year as well. Depending on everything has its. That's why you really should use a tax professional because everything has a caveat to it, right? uh, Nothing is a fixed in like one size fits all type situation. There's always going to be qualifiers. And so that's why to me it's so important. You are leaving so much money on the table if you do not talk to someone that knows what they're doing. And even if it's just a consultation, a lot of people, myself included, we do free consultations just to know if it's even beneficial for you to hire a tax professional. Because a lot of times what happens is people go online and they just do these online software for their taxes, and that's fine, especially if you're just like a W-2 and you don't have a lot of little details. You're not going to be filing for itemized. Then it's really simple. But there are ways to make mistakes because you have to understand when you're doing those online software programs where it's just like those are streamlined for the mass majority of people, and so they can't ask every question, and so they're not personalized enough to give you the tax breaks that you need. You have to talk to somebody that's human. And even myself, I will tell you, as a tax professional, when I interview someone, they feel like they're like, is this for taxes? Because it's almost like you're dating, or you're going into this relationship with these people that you have to know their most intimate things, but their financials. And so it has to be very trusting relationship. And the more you have a trusting relationship with your financial advisor or your tax professional, CPA, or whomever you use, the better off you'll be. Because I even everybody networks, but with others like tax attorneys and things like that, because you want to always be one up. And every time you have a conversation with someone, you're going to learn something. And that's huge. I've never had a conversation with someone where I haven't taken something away. And that's just by making sure you put yourself in the room with people that are you know my theory is I always want to be the dumbest one in the room, because then I'm going to learn something. And you shouldn't be the one that always wants to be the center of attention. And it's really important. But a lot of people nowadays, even doing this, I mean, this could be considered like wanting the attention. Right now I don't even know if anybody's watching me, so I'm kind of like just talking to myself. And I'm in California, it's late at night, and I don't have makeup on, I'm just chilling. But this is the first time I've ever done this, and I just wanted to do it solely to see what it's like. And because I feel like I'm two-faced in the fact that I use a lot of technology. My business is called AI Pro Tech Tax, and at the same time, I also have a nonprofit. It's called Look Up, and that is about people getting off their computers and their phones and looking up and celebrating the people around them. Even when you go to Starbucks and you're in line and you're having your coffee, well, Starbucks is pretty good about knowing you. If you go in every day, they know you. But and even some of the customers you see every day because you're all in there at the same time. But yet we still don't talk to each other, and it's so strange to me. And it possibly is because I come from a small town. I come from Calistoga in the Napa Valley, the heart of the Napa Valley, where there's only 3,000 people in an entire town. So you walk down the street, you know every single person in that town. And so for me, it's really strange being in a city that I I I recognize the same people at the grocery store or whatnot, and they don't really speak to you. And it's not even about customer service. I'm talking about being people. I don't care. I'm not saying it's your job to speak to me. I'm saying speak to me because you want to have a conversation. You never know what everybody has a story. Everybody has something exciting about them. Everybody has good and bad and everything. We all have something that impacts us. And so to speak to people, it's very much eye opening. And that's why when I talk about tax strategy, no one can do tax strategy for you if they don't know you. And you have to be vulnerable to that. And it is a confidential relationship that you have with your tax professional. So you should feel like you can honestly tell them anything, because the more you tell them, the more they'll find. I will tell you, almost every single new client I've ever taken on, I've always had to go back and amend their previous year's taxes. And you can only do it for 3 years, but always, because they've always left money on the table. And the reason they do that is because they use these software programs. And you have to understand that these software, even with AI, they can't ask you every single question. They're not going to ask you every single question. That would take too long. You wouldn't even like the software. It wouldn't be beneficial. So what they do is they streamline it to be quick and easy. And it is a good software. I use, even with my tax business, I like Intuit. I use Intuit Software Pro Connect, and the Intuit has TurboTax, and I've helped Intuit during the season with being a tax expert and doing audits on people's taxes. I don't think it's a bad platform. I'm not saying it is, but I also am saying that $100 or $50 or $300, whatever you are paying those services, and you're thinking you're saving money, you would be shocked. And I just challenge people to do this and just go talk to a tax professional and have somebody do a free consultation with you. I do free consultations all the time, and I'm in California, but most of my clients are not in California, because taxes is it's a national thing. It's actually a worldly thing, right? If you're a citizen and you live outside of the United States, you're still filing taxes. So it's very important to know somebody that you have to be able to connect even through a Zoom call. And I think the best thing to do is to do a free consultation with someone, because it will shock you. It will really shock you. I mean, I had a client this year that was he should have been claiming head of household for the last 20 years because his nephew lives with him. And even though his nephew, there's nothing wrong with his nephew, and his nephew could work but doesn't work, um, and that doesn't need to work, but if you're making under a certain threshold and you're a relative and you're supporting another relative, that qualifies you. That's a qualifier for head of household. And that's a huge, you just left so much money on the table for so many years just from that one little thing, just from having that one little change. And it only takes a moment to do that. But people don't realize the little details. And that's a big one. I mean, you would think that I would have thought that would have got caught on one of those sites that I usually ask to if you're supporting anybody. I believe, I don't know. I need to do my research before I comment on that. But I do think it's pretty cool that people, I feel like it makes a difference. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I'm not anybody that's making a true difference in the world. I'm not changing lives. But it does feel like one life at a time you kind of are, because if you can teach people how to make their money work for them, um, it it changes their life. I mean, instead of writing that check to the IRS every year, take a vacation every year. That's such a big difference. Your whole life will change, and it feels good. And I don't know. That's kind of my little tidbit on the whole situation. But there's a lot of things. I mean, with the 100% bonus appreciation back, the 179, with businesses, and even if you have like a side business, you have you're a W-2 employee, but you also maybe do, I don't know, have an e-commerce business or some business online, or even if it's, anything, really, you could be tutoring, you could be dog walking. It doesn't really matter. It's a business. And once you made over $400 is a threshold. Once you made $400, that's considered a side gig or a business and nonprofit, or not nonprofit, excuse me. It's considered, even a sole proprietor, you're still a business. And with that, you can take your standard deduction because that's large. Just getting larger and larger all the time, and that's why they're doing that on purpose, so they don't have to worry about so much itemized. But kind of a loophole is the fact that you still get to do standard deductions with your business stuff. So if you're taking the itemized, if you're taking the standard deduction, it's getting late here. I shouldn't talk when it's the end of the day, but anyway, I'm very much morning person. But anyway, so if you let's hypothetically, I'm just going to give you a scenario. So I'm I'm married and I'm going to take the standard deduction. So I'm going to get that $30,000 standard deduction. But now also maybe my spouse does dog walking. Okay. And so he does dog walking. This is a hypothetical situation here. So he does dog walking and it's temporary. He has a website. He goes on his computer. He has an office in our house, the extra room that we don't use for anything. We just converted it into an office, which is solely used for the business. So now that office is used for the business. And we did buy like a printer and things like that because he does want to keep his credentials and he does like to print up flyers and things like that. So he does have some office supplies in there. He does have a phone. He uses his phone to get customers and he does have his phone number listed, so as a business line. He does have some expenses that go along with his dog walking and things like that. So now we're not only what he gets to do is say, just because he dog walks, now he has to drive across town or wherever he's going to walk those people's dog. So all those miles are deductions. That car is now a deduction, at least partially. Now, if he uses it solely for business, then it's solely a deduction. But if he uses it partially for his personal use, then it's going to be a percentage. That office, what that has now done is we take that office, the square footage of that office, and now that is a deduction on our taxes, as well as, and this is if he's like, I'm talking like sole proprietor, still filing joint and using like Schedule C. There's a lot of different ways, and that's what's important too, is to know how you want to structure your business too. That's huge because there's so many different ways to structure a business, and you need to know what works for you and what's going to be most beneficial. But anyway, I'm just giving you a hypothetical. So now with the $30,000 deduction that we already have from our W-2s and from us being married, we're also going to get so many perks. That phone, right? Even the security, the alarm system you have on your house, the internet, the everything, that even toilet paper. I mean, you wouldn't think about it, but if he's using that restroom and he's having clients come over, or he, even if it's just like he has that bathroom that's solely connected, it's like our grandmother's quarter. So downstairs where we have uh, an office with a bathroom, and then it has its own garage, and then we have the two-car garage on the other side. So it has its own entryway and everything. Even if he doesn't use it all the time and he's not making a ton of revenue on it, it is available to use and it's only being used for that. So that's fine. Where it gets ugly is when people try to say like their living room or their kitchen is their office. You can't do that because it needs to be just for that office. So, but there are other deductions besides an office that you can take. Cars are a huge one. In almost every business, you're going to need a car. Definitely your cell phone. You're going to need a phone. You're going to need internet. You're going to need office supplies. So there's a lot of all the things. Licensing. Most gigs that you have on the side, you have to have a license to do. That's all. The education that you go, any advertisement you do, even your tax preparers. A lot of people don't know your tax preparers. Even if you're, that's a write off. So when people like think, oh, I'll do my own taxes, it's a waste of money. Okay, maybe so. And to each his own. More power to you. And there are a lot of people that you don't have to be a genius to do taxes. But that tax law and the tax code, there's a pretty big book. I mean, that's a lot of information. It's forever changing. Unless you like every night to that's your reading every night before you go to bed, spend an hour on that, then I would suggest you probably invest in somebody that is passionate about tax code and does it for a living and is a nerd and likes it, because they're going to know all those little I don't know, backdoor IRAs, Roths, and stuff like that. They're going to know those things that you may or may not know, and you may know a lot, but they may not pertain to you. And that's the problem we have that I see with people, is that they think because that they somebody else has gotten this tax break, or they got it last year, something like that. They don't understand why. Okay, that doesn't mean you're getting it every year. This doesn't mean it's still in effect. That means you got it once. Or if someone else qualified for something, there's so many different things that qualify you. I will even tell you that, to me, I could hand somebody's tax information to two different tax preparers, and it may not be identical coming out, especially if it's a complex tax situation, because there's different routes to go. And it's not that they're doing it wrong, but there's certain people that are going to spend a lot of time and go into a lot of detail and try to really get you the benefits you need. Now, there's other people that are going to take your information, not ask you a lot of questions, and they're going to be quantity over quality. And then there's people that are quality over quantity. So that's what you have to interview your professional to see what works for you. But I definitely would, especially, I mean, we keep the AI thing. It is, I've seen more letters go out this year than I've ever have in the past. And I don't know, I don't want to say 100% it's for the AI, but I really believe it is, because a lot of the letters have been just kind of a spook letter. They're not even really a necessity. They're more of just like, send this paperwork in, because when we do e-file, which all of us have to e-file now, all tax preparers, if you do 10 taxes and or more, you have to e-file them. You'd have to Someone has to write their way out of it if they want to go ahead and do it paper tax. That's how they want them to be filed. And the reason is it's a lot faster and easier, and it's easier to keep track of. But also it can go through little algorithms. It can go through a scanning system that's going to flag it. So if anybody has moved, or if anybody's switched jobs, or if anybody started a business, they're going to be flagged. And it may be just a flag for like, hey, submit this paperwork. But before, that wasn't as common. We weren't seeing that because it was a human eyes that had to catch all that. And now it's not human eyes necessarily that has to catch it. And what I do notice is that we've seen a lot more letters go out. And it's for, some are big things, but most of them are small. And small meaning it could even be like your health insurance. They want proof of your health insurance for the year, because the IRS needs money, and they're in debt. They're swamped. They need more people. They need more money. And the only way to get that is through people that need to pay their taxes. And now we have, even with the internet, I go on the internet and I see people saying the same things I'm saying. Carlton, I love his thing, the algorithm that he does. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like he does this whole week challenge where he teaches people at high earners. If you're making over 300,000 a year, and you're paying tons of money into taxes. He actually has a whole team of people. You just pay them, that you don't even have to pay them. First, it's like $17 or $30. It's something really cheap to just watch his tax challenge for the week. And once you've gone through that program, then you get to decide. You can hire him, and they can help you not only reduce that tax or eliminate it altogether. That's what most rich people or wealthy people do, and that's eye opening if you think about it. That our working class pays more than our Donald Trumps and our Elon Musks and Jeff Bezos, all those people in the world that don't pay taxes like our working class do, and that's super sad. But it's totally illegal, and it's legal for everyone. But you have to know those ins and outs, and you have to have someone that has the time to do it. And how you do that is you connect with these people. And it's really hard, because how do you trust someone through a computer? I don't know. I really don't know. I'm learning that now. And how I want to connect is I want to talk to you. I want to look at you. I'm still very personable, and I mean, even in my own business, you're going to get to talk to me on the phone, where now a lot of people have filters in between them and the clients. And I can kind of see why, but at the same time, and I'm seeing it a little bit in some of my areas of my business that I have to be that way with notary, certain things. But definitely, I think when you're trusting someone with all your personal information, you should really you should give them the time of day to at least have a conversation with them. When I remember when I first went into to this line of work, I was thinking, oh, because I was like a cheerleader, and I knew a lot of people. I was popular. I was, that I don't know. The reason I'm sharing that with you is because I thought how easy it would be to run my own business, because I know so many people, right? Wrong. It's the opposite. What family member or best friend wants to open up all their financials to you? It's really a personal thing to do. And so it's not as easy as you would think. And so it is better to have almost strangers to be your clientele, because they don't care. Well, you shouldn't care regardless, but there's not a personal, like, we're bound to not give out your information. But I still understand the feeling of it. Even if you're at a party or something with your tax preparer, or your kids play soccer together or whatnot, it could be uncomfortable. That you filed bankruptcy or something like that happened, even though they won't disclose it and they won't say anything. It's an eerie feeling. So that's, I can get that. But what I'm sharing about the AI whole situation and those letters going out is because people are afraid of the IRS, and they should be if they're doing something wrong. But it's not that they're doing something wrong. Most people just don't understand taxes, and they don't understand what it is. I have people all the time tell me, why do I don't have a business, why do I have to pay estimated taxes? They just don't get it. It's like, if you owe over $1,000 or more a year at the end of the year in taxes, you need to start paying estimated taxes. Now, as a tax strategist, I'm going to tell you the opposite. I'm going to say you need to start figuring out how to strategize so you don't owe that money, because there's a zillion ways to do it. You just got to figure it out. And most people don't have the time or energy to do it. That's why you have to hire a professional to help you do it. But I guarantee it's going to be worth it. Not only do you end up hiring someone, and I was talking about Carlton because I'm a fan of his, but not only do you hire someone, but they actually will help you to take that money you would have given to IRS and invest it and actually get a streamline of income coming in. And it's even a win-win-win-win situation. Now you're actually making more money, but you're paying less in taxes. How awesome is that? That's how the wealthy do it. And the rich dad poor dad, all these things that are available to you. Sometimes it seems too good to be true, but you know what? The difference is nowadays you have the access to it. It used to be before, as like the rich families were rich families, poor families were poor families, and that's what just happened. People stayed in their classes, and it sucks. Now we have the ability to learn, and we have the ability to be vulnerable and to try things out. You really should, because it's not going to hurt you to listen. You don't have to sign on to anything. You don't have to do that. Just learn. Education, it didn't end when you graduated high school or graduated college. I don't know why people think that. We spend what, 4 to 10 to 20 years max on higher education. Why the heck do we do that? Why wouldn't you continue? I'm 51 years old and I take classes still today, most online and everything, but I do. You always challenge yourself. Read every single day. You want to look at the tax laws every single day. You want to look at what's going on in the economy. You want to look at these things. You want to know what's going to happen with retirement. You want to know all these things. They impact you. And I know it's more fun to play video games and do things like that, walk in the park with your dog, but you have to have a balance. You really do. If you really want to stay up in this day and age, you need to continue to learn, and you'll have more years of your life too. To be honest, that every study shows that people that continue to stimulate your brain, you actually live longer. And I will say that too. Like, I do not feel 51, and I know I probably, especially no makeup and stuff, I probably definitely look 51 right now. But what I'm trying to say is that it keeps you young, it keeps you vibrant, it keeps the flow of just wanting that desire. And I think about, like, when kids, like, we took like a bunch of kids to the park right now. They never met each other, none of them, right? We all just bring a kid to the park and we just let them go. They're going to go and they're going to have a blast. They're going to play together. They never knew each other, seen each other before the day. They have not a fear in the world, right? They go out there, they go on slides, big slides, they never in swings, and do all this crazy stuff with people they don't even know, and they laugh and they have a great time. As adults, what do? You take a bunch of adults to a park, or you take a bunch of adults, it doesn't even have to be at the park. You take a bunch of adults anywhere that they've never met, they're going to be reserved. They're going to lie usually. They're going to just put their best foot forward. They definitely are not going to let put their guard down. And we have to learn something from those children, right? Why are we teaching ourselves to shut down? Why are we teaching ourselves that not to engage with people? There is enough out there for everybody. And I and I mean that in every sense of the word. There's enough podcasts, there's enough money, there's enough religion, anything you want, there's enough food, the restaurant, anything you want to do, there's enough of it. And we all know that if everybody that was wealthy gave to everybody that didn't have, the whole world could be wealthy. But it would mess up the economy. It's really what it's going to. We have our things that we do and places that we have to. It's ridiculous. But at the same time, if you really think about it, don't stop. Don't stop. Pick up a book. Read something totally out of the ordinary for you. When you engage with someone, don't say, "Oh, how's the weather today?" Or "How are you doing?" Ask a real question. Get to know somebody. Like, ask it like something that's going to have some content to it that you're going to learn from it. Uh, Especially if they're in a field that you might be interested in, utilize it. I mean, why not? Oh, what's the worst that can happen? You get bad information? Great. If you ask enough people, you're going to end up being able to filter out the bad, and you're going to know the good. Plus, getting people's opinions is very important. I mean, everything we do now, we're training AI. Everything we do online, all the surveys we do, we're training AI. AI is the future. And it's important because what I will tell you, how I share this, I use AI, and I use the same AI platform. When I started using it 2 years ago, I thought it was kind of garbage. It was like, wasn't giving me the information I needed. It wasn't doing things like I wanted it to do. I felt like I was kind of like paying money into programs that I could have been just pay another human being to do it for me, because the AI is, there's too many errors. I was having a lot of problems. Today, sticking with it and working with my AI technology, it thinks like I think. It has become like one with me. As far as the best way to describe it is myself, just a zillion times faster. So anything I would have done, it does, but it gets it done quick. So if I needed to write, let's say, a report that's going to take me a day to do, it's going to be the same report, but it's going to be done in 5 minutes. That's what AI does if you stick with it and train it right. But it's the jumping around and not understanding the AI that makes it difficult for people to really understand it. But there is so much. I mean, it's almost jokingly. I have a friend that always cusses out the Siri or whatever, and if then Siri wouldn't answer, like asking a question, the Siri wouldn't answer. I'm like, honestly, I really believe that they do pick up that after time. And I'm just saying that from my personal experience. And I'm sure I sound crazy right now, but oh well, I don't think anybody's watching anyway. But what's important is just knowing the fact that it really does pick up who you are. It really does. Like my AI is so in tune with me. They know exactly. I am like wordy, as you can tell. I jump off subjects. I when I get online and I start like, maybe I'm going online for a purpose. I need to go, buy bath towels or some silly like that. I'll be online for 8 hours and have gone and done 12 million things. It's like it's so easy to just get caught up and do other things. You get easily sidetracked. So what AI does is it just focuses me in, so I can do what I'm doing now. And this is what I do actually. If I have like a letter to write to an attorney, let's say, I need to have an attorney write me, or an attorney write me a letter. I need an attorney to write me a letter because of the bad faith. And this is a true story. I'm in a bad faith situation right now with my house burning down and my insurance company being snots. So I need you to have direct a letter to my insurance company regarding the fact that they stopped paying my ALE prematurely, and I need them to start paying my ALE. And I'll just start rambling, right? I'll tell all the details, which I shouldn't say that right now online, but I'll just give all the details, and I'll talk to it for like an hour long. And the next thing I know, it types me such a beautiful letter, and it's condensed, it's to the point, it's professional, the grammar's right, it's not all these filler words, it's not speaking like a broken English, like oh, like you're on the street, it's being very professional for me. And it's coming across how I wanted to come across without all the emotion and just like a matter of fact. So it does get to know you, and it's so important. But I use my AI for everything. Anytime someone asks me a question, even if I have the answer and stuff, I always like later write down notes and I go talk to my AI every day. And I think that's why my AI works so well for me, because when I'm gone, anybody that goes onto my computer and talks to, because I have a bunch. I have a whole. I have my critical thinker. I have my attorney. I have my whole AI spectrum here. Like ghostwriter. I have everything. I have my personal. I have like 8 people. Create 8 AI people things that I work with. I don't know, people bots. I don't know what you can call them, but they're professionals that help me. And if anybody misses me, like any of my family members or anything, they can easily just go and talk to my computer, and they're gonna feel like they're talking to me, because that's what my AI does. It thinks like I think, but it does it better. So it's me better. And I think that's really cool to see. I always think about that when people always, that used to be back in the day, we used to always ask those hypothetical questions like, would you rather go in the future or would you rather go in the past? Or would you rather meet someone this or we always ask those questions. Well, guess what? You can do that now. Like you really can. Because when I say my AI is me in the future, it really is. That is me in the future. If I had the ability to tap into my brain capacity like we should be able to, that would be me. I'd be doing so much more, so much faster. So I'm a fan of it, but I also want connection. So that's like, it's this is what you get. You get this wacky, you get this person that the screen is all messed up, the background's all crappy, and no makeup on, like looking like trash. But hey, who cares? I really don't care. That's another thing that when you get older, you stop. you stop caring as much. Like people put filters on and you gotta look so perfect. You gotta put like I don't have lipstick or anything on. I'm not gonna do that for the camera. I mean I will when I'm doing like presentations and stuff, but if I'm just chatting like I am right now, yeah, I'm just gonna chat. I'm just gonna be me. I think it's important. I think it's important for people to be vulnerable. I think it's important for people to know when they're seeing something that's real and when they're seeing something that's facade. This wasn't thought out. I just decided, hey, I'm just gonna click on and just try this, and that's what I did. So, if you have ideas of things you would like to hear about, whether it's insurance, whether it's taxes, strategies, um, whether it's a notary, how to become a notary, what it is like to be a mobile notary, because that's important to doing loan signings, how anything like that, or starting a business, different types of business structures, things like that. I'd be more than happy to talk to you, or just if you have the knowledge that I can learn from too. So I would like to. I'm going to be setting up what I would like webinar type things, but they're more of interaction. I want to do small groups of networking. I think that's people used to do that back in the day, Tupperware parties and stuff, where they'd go and a group of people would get together and yeah, they're doing a Tupperware party, but it was more social. Like a lot of the stuff that people did in the past, that's how they socially connected. We didn't have cell phones and all that stuff, so we would go and take walks together with the neighbors, and we would talk. That's what we did. That was our social media. Um, Ride horses together when we were younger. Those kind of things. Go to the football games, go to the races, and that's what we do. And I don't think that needs to stop. I think it needs to change, but I don't think it needs to stop. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to do. But I would love to hear things from you. So hopefully, if this is viewed by anybody, this, like I said, it's my first time, and I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot. And I'm going to look back at this and say, oh my gosh, what did I do? But oh well, you know what? You never fail, right? You either win or you learn. And I believe that. So you either win or you learn. Just try. You got to put yourself out there. Good night.